Question, the member from Welland.
Thank you, Speaker. My question is to the Premier. Earlier this year, the Wynne government promised to review the unfairly rejected compensation claims of hundreds of workers who, over the course of 5 decades, worked at General Electric in Peterborough, building everything from our household appliances to diesel engines. While they were doing so, they were exposed to over 3,000 types of toxic fumes and chemicals now known to cause cancer. The Wynne government promised these families, and I quote the minister, a smile on their faces and a jingle in their pocket. And yet months later, they're still scrambling for answers that the minister refuses to provide. When will this government stop breaking promises, provide hundreds of grieving families of these workers, give them the support and the compensation benefits that they need? Minister of Labour.
Minister of Labour.
Speaker, thank you to the member for the question. This has been a very, very tough situation for the workers at the GE plant in Peterborough, Speaker, and it's gone on for far too long. This goes back to the 50s and the 60s, Speaker, when these people were exposed to chemicals we know a lot more about today. Speaker, but over the years, through multiple governments, their employer, their health clinics, organized labour, the MOL, I'm sure at some point, the WSIB, Speaker, should have stepped up and helped these people. Simply put, Speaker, they did not. What we are doing in a very short period of time, Speaker, is attempting to rectify the situation. These families deserve justice, Speaker. They haven't had the justice they deserve. We are putting in place, Speaker, we've just announced from the WSIB, a dedicated review team that's going to do nothing but look at claims that come out of the GE plant in Peterborough. I'm determined to get these people the justice they deserve, Speaker, and I promise that that will happen.
Thank you. Supplementary.
Thank you, Speaker. While rejecting hundreds of claims of these very victims who depend on WSIB the most, WSIB continues to give premium cuts to businesses, almost 10% cut in premiums over the last 2 years. Wow. These are the widows who lost their husbands to cancer, workers who spent decades under exposed asbestos pipes, and an entire community who continues to relive the horrors every single day because of broken promises. Still, their claims are denied, and despite the reports and the medical evidence, the burden of proof on claimants continues to rise. When will this government stop breaking its promises to the hundreds of cancer victims from GE, fix our systemically flawed WSIB compensation system, and make sure that the families in Peterborough and the workers in Peterborough have the compensation benefits that they need?
Thank you. Minister.
Thank you, Speaker, and thank you again to the member for the question.
Be seated, please. Be seated, please. Thank you. Minister.
Speaker. Speaker, the member is right. These workers and their families deserve better, Speaker, and that is exactly what we're working to. And we don't need any last-minute press releases or last-minute press conferences telling us something we already know, Speaker. That we need to put a system in place. As I said, we put a dedicated review team at the WSIB. That's all they do. They look at claims from GE in an expedited manner to make sure that these folks get the justice they should have got a long time ago. It's an important step forward. I've met with the families on a regular basis. I understand their argument, Speaker, and I'm trying to do something about their argument. There's a lot of blame to go around on this one, Speaker. My intent in the short term is to make sure that the people that deserve to get the coverage they should be. And, Speaker, after that, we've got occupational diseases that we're looking at a response team to that as well, Speaker, to make sure we learn from what happened at GE, make sure it never happens in the province of Ontario again.
Thank you.